Now, my first question, the lowest that Indian cricket has seen in the last 5 years, especially in tests overseas, keeping that in mind, can this win act as a catalyst for the Indian test team for future test matches?
Well, I certainly hope so, because they played exceptionally well. They were put into bat on a green top. They handled that well. No praise can be too high for Murali, Vijay and Cheteshwar, Pujara, the way they batted in that first session when the ball was doing things and made it easy for the batsman coming down. The kind of resistance shown by the lower order batsman, the kind of application shown by the lower order batsman in both the innings. Ajinkya Rahane's 100, Murali Vijay's application 95, and Dhoni also in the second innings. I mean, a free scoring batsman like him made sure that at that particular day, third evening, there were not too much inroads into the Indian batting. So I think no praise can be too high for the way the Indian team has played. You would expect the bowlers to do well on a pitch which had something, a little more carry, a little more bounce, and they did exceptionally well. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of more such wins overseas.
Sometimes we use the word historic very loosely. By we, I mean the Indian cricket fan. But keeping in mind India's record at Lord's, just 2 wins in 17 tests, can this win be called historic then?
Well, I think you're right. I think we keep using the word historic a little too loosely. My feeling is that I think we should stop, worrying about history, etc. History will take care of itself. History takes care of itself immediately, once maybe 10, 15 years down the road. I think there will be many who will write about history. This, I think, is a pivotal point in Indian cricket, because of the way they have come back, the way they have come back in this test match. It wasn't easy going for them, and it's the kind of application, determination that they have shown that augurs well for the future. Once again, I think we all who have gone through this, through the strife and then after retirement, all of us are hoping that the old Indian malaise of complacency doesn't creep in. As long as complacency doesn't creep in, I think this team can only go forward.
Right, a very valid point you make, and I just hope that the Indian players are listening. But does the fact that only 2 out of the 11 players had played cricket in England before make this win even more special?
Well, it's difficult to play in a country where you've not played before, because you've got to make adjustments to everything. You've got to make adjustments, firstly, to the time difference, because your body does take a little time to get used to the time difference from your country and then coming to another country. It makes a difference in getting used to the weather conditions. It makes a difference getting used to the pitch conditions, the ground conditions. So, yes, I think it is not easy if you're playing there for the first time. And it's not a question of Lord's. It's a question of Trent, it's a question of Southampton. It will be a question of Old Trafford. It will be a question at Oval. Every venue will be a little bit different, and to make the adjustment, if you've had the experience of having toured before, of course it's a big plus. If you haven't, I think you rely on those who have played there before to help you through with it.
Sunil, you were talking about learning from, playing in England before. How much of a role do you think Rahul Dravid, the batting mentor, would have played in the way the likes of Rahane and Murali Vijay have batted so far?
Huge, huge. You cannot even measure what an impact he has made straight away. It's not just the batsman. Don't forget the resistance shown by Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Mohammad Shami in the first test. And that could have only come with Rahul Dravid's impact, Rahul Dravid's influence, because he was one who never gave his wicket away. And that's exactly what Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Mohammad Shami showed in that first test. They showed that even if they were batting in 10 and 11, that they could hold on. They could play shots, they could get runs. And while that might have actually also inspired England's Jimmy Anderson to bat the way he did in that innings, the important thing is that it actually showed in the rest of India's batsmen that, look, if the lower order batsmen are doing, we at the top should be doing even better.
Right. Saibhai, was it also heartening to see Indian bowlers bounce out opponents? I'm talking about Ishant in particular in the second innings. That's another thing that doesn't happen too often.
Yes, who would have believed that Indian bowlers would win a test by bouncing the opposition out? I mean, those days when Indians were bounced out and we had nothing to retaliate with, those days are gone. We've got bowlers now who can bowl in the mid-80s, bowl briskly. They might not be express, but they bowl at a brisk speed, which is hard to tackle. And particularly in conditions where there is a fair bit of bounce, where there is a bit of movement, they are as deadly and as dangerous as any other bowlers in the world. And that was proven today. Yes, the bouncer was very effectively used. bouncers can be effective when they're well directed, and you can see the way the bouncers were directed just outside the off stump from where it is difficult to play the pull shot. If the bouncers are on the middle and leg stump, you can control it a little bit better, and the height also has got to be there. So Ishant Sharma made full use of his height and also made sure that when he was bouncing, it was a little bit away, angling away from the batsman towards the batsman's back shoulder, whether it was a right-hander or a left-hander, and that made the difference.
Right, Saini bhai, though this may sound a little irrelevant at the moment, but the Man of the Match award went to Ishant, and of course he did bowl very well. But would you agree with those that are calling this a Bhuvneshwar Kumar test match? 6 wickets in the first innings and 2 dogged innings with the bat?
Well, I think if you had a look at the Trent Test match, Murali Vijay did nothing wrong. He got 100 in the first innings over there. He got 50 in the second. Bhuvneshwar Kumar also got a 50 in each innings, plus 5 wickets. But he didn't get the Man of the Match award. I think it was more a sentimental award given to Jimmy Anderson, because in the previous Test match that he played, he'd got out to the penultimate ball, and that had cost England a loss against Sri Lanka. And he was crying, so I think maybe it was just a little bit of a sentimental thing, because quite clearly Jimmy Anderson was not the man of the match, and even he seemed to be surprised when he got it. But yes, I think these Man of the Match awards can be debatable, because just like any selection of any team can be debatable. But inside that dressing room, you think anybody is going to be bothered? Inside that Indian dressing room, it's going anybody, whether it's Murali Vijay or Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Ajinkya Rahane, who did so well, or Ravindra Jadeja, who batted and bowled, and then with that brilliant run out put his impact on the game. You think they are all going to be bothered? For them, this victory is going to be sweeter than any Man of the Match award. And that's how it should be. It was a team effort, and the team knows that yes, Ishant Sharma bowled exceptionally well, but because all of them came together and played like one unit, that's why they have this win.
How much of a role did the pitch play in India's win, Saini bhai? For us watching on TV here in India, the conditions seem more like home. I mean, how often do you see a spinner bowl in the 7th over of an innings, as Jadeja and Vijay did for India in the second innings? Well,
but that was a 4-day pitch. The 4-day pitch, you're expecting the ball to turn. And so it wasn't really a surprise. Yes, the ball did turn and bounce because it did off the bowler's footmarks, the bowler's follow-through footmarks that had been left. But it wasn't turning on day one, so it wasn't an Indian pitch. On day one, it was a real green surface. But because, London's been blessed with hot weather over the last few days, the grass died. And that's why that first session on day one was such an important session. And that's the reason I say Murali Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara also deserve plenty of credit for this win, because they made sure, if India had been 70 for 7 at lunchtime, then just imagine, it would have been impossible to recover. But they were only 75 for 2. And I think, again, it's got to be a team effort. Yeah, you can talk about the pitches, but this is England. England, wanted a pitch with grass on it. They got a pitch with grass on it. Then what? Then they won the toss and they inserted India into bat, but yet India ended up winning. So I think you've got to understand that, yes, England is also in a transitional phase. They are not the best team at the moment like they were in 2011, but the opposition has to take advantage, and India certainly has taken the advantage.
Saini bhai, I hate to sound like a party pooper. While we celebrate India's historic win, is it also fair to say that the current England team isn't the best test team going around in test cricket at the moment? They were decimated by Australia, remember, and lost to Sri Lanka at home just a few days ago. I mentioned these facts just to put India's victory in perspective.
Yes, but I think, at the end of the day, you can only play the opposition that it gets onto the ground. And it's not for India to choose the opposition. The opposition players are chosen by their selection committee. And if they don't find players who are good enough, then it's not India's concern. I know sometimes, we tend to look at it from that aspect, but that's an Indian habit, where with every win that you have, you're always looking at the negatives, you're looking to maybe play it down. But I think really, this team has played superbly, even in Trent Bridge. I mean, the Bhuvneshwar Kumar application and Mohammad Shami application in that Trent Bridge test, I think that actually showed the way. That showed the way that this Indian team is not going to allow itself to be rolled over. Yes, they will have the odd bad day, but I think on this trip we'll probably see more good days for Indian cricket than we have seen on the 2011 tour.
Right, Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, thanks so much for talking to us on what has been a historic day for Indian cricket. After all, they've won only their second test match at Lord's.